Welcome in Line by Line. I have a guest today, Haris. Hi. And for the first time in the history of Line by Line, we analyze an epic rap battle of history. George R. Martin versus John R. Tolkien. So, Haris, why did you pick that song?
Well, first of all, I am really into the mythopoetic, and I really like this genre of literary fantasy. And these two are two of my favorites. So I thought that maybe it's something that is interesting to go line by line. And why not? Let's make this a new niche on line by line.
Yeah, I absolutely welcome it.
Begin. I begin. Okay. This is R. Martin talking, by the way. So brace yourself. Gather up your trolls and your soldiers, elves, and your ents, and your orcs, and your wargs, and your stings, your dwarves, and glamdrings, because there's a new literally Lord in the ring. So this is the first verse. George R. Martin invites everyone to brace ourselves. And while entering this first round in the ring, he's making a direct attack, let's say, to the famous Tolkien. And he's actually going over through his characters, his main fantasy characters that they are depicted in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And in his mythos, let's say. And he's making reference to the trolls, to the elves, and to the ents. The ents are the big trees, for those that they don't know. I have a soft spot in my heart for trees, so go ents.
Yeah.
He's also mentioning the orcs, that they are the bad guys, and the wargs. Wargs, for those that they don't remember, wargs are those malevolent wolves that the orcs ride in battle. So this is what the wargs are. And your stings. The stings, they are the Tolkien. He liked to give names to various sorts. So sting, if I am not mistaken, is the sort of Bilbo Baggins that he
one that's shining. If the orc are near,
yeah. So of course, then he mentions the other famous, let's say, race found in the Tolkien mythos, that they are the dwarves, and he also mentions here the Glamdrings. That, if I'm not mistaken, this is again a type of sword, and it's the sword that Gandalf holds through trilogy. And it's also it's a type of sword that also gloom when the orcs approach. So, and R. Martin, let's say, continues and says, because there is a new literally Lord in the ring. So he's making a reference like, okay, this is the genre, and he's making a reference to the Lord in the ring, and also to this battle in the arena, let's say.
Yeah, it's like it's a word play in the Lord of the Rings, like the bling bling. He's a Lord in the ring, the arena. Yeah, so funny. I kind of like here how George he prepared himself. He's like secret fan. He's like naming very specific things like that only fans would know. And he's like throwing it as an insult, but like deep on the inside, he's a fan. Like I could hear it. He's like knowing all the details somehow, just like even though he's word playing it. kind of like, "Aw,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
actually read the books." so that was my impression. Mm.
cool. So let me continue with this. Still, George R. R. Martin continues his verse on this first round, and he says, "My readers fall in love with every character I've written. Then I'll kill them." And they are like, "No, he didn't." Okay, so here what he's saying is like he's making an observation of his own, let's say, tendencies to create to be very crafty and create these complex characters, like a multitude of characters that can be found in his Game of Thrones books, that they are still unfinished. But okay, that's a different story.
He wanted to do the prequels. Come on.
Fair enough. So, and then he goes on to his favorite, let's say, move. He kills all those characters that everyone fall in love with. So, yeah. And he's going after that shock value, let's say, like, no, he didn't. And it's something that is very characteristic of his style of writing and of fantasy. So he then goes on, addressing again once more to Tolkien, let's say, and he says, "All your bad guys die and your good guys survive."
Not all, but okay.
Okay. And we can tell what's going to happen by page and age 5. So he's like poking a little bit into Tolkien, like he goes by the book and he wants to make everything like a fairy tale and all of that. And then he moves on and he makes another statement like that is an insight thing. "Tell your all-seeing eye to find some sex in your movies." Yeah. So he's making like another reference that Tolkien is, it's very, how to say it, it's very content safe for everyone, as opposed to his own, let's say, age-restricted movies. So that's another thing he mentions here in round 1. And he goes on and says, "Ditch the Goonie and cast a couple of boobies." And here, what he's saying by it, Goonie, he's making a reference to that character that played Sam, which was the best friend of the protagonist, of another hobbit, let's say. He was before
one of the teenagers in Goonies.
Yeah,
adventure of that the boys went to hunt for treasure.
Yeah. So
that reference, Goonies.
So he's making a reference there. And he continues making these low punches, let's say, and by concluding that there is edgier plots in that David the Gnome. So David the Gnome is like a Spanish cartoon. So yeah, he's just making fun of again this insistence of talking to make everything more family, let's say, safe,
friendly.
Family friendly, yes. And continuing and ending this first round, he said, "Your hobbit-hole heroes can't handle my throne." Of course, here making a reference to Tolkien's hobbits, and also to his own Iron Throne from Game of Thrones.
Okay, so there is like a lot to unpack here. Like the moment he said, "I create character everybody loves, and then I kill them," made me think of Tibetan monks who create beautiful sand drawings for days. They make those absolutely marvelous sand drawings, and then they just destroy them. Why? Practice non-attachment. We spent a lot of time creating those absolutely gorgeous sand drawings, not even making a picture of it. Just
Yeah.
like, yeah, just like I care for something and then I let it go. And basically enjoy the good characters until they last. I actually kind of think this strategy is not bad because he keeps people enjoying the show more and enjoying the characters as long as they're there. It's a good move. It's a good move. What do you think about that move?
Yeah. I really like what you said about the sandcastles. And it actually reminded me of one video coming from Abseco Club in Barcelona. And
Yeah, shout out.
yeah, I will give you the link to share it. It's a very nice video. Some artists, they basically like to create these masterpieces on the sand, like castles and dragons and all of this. And the nature of them being ephemeral, it's part of the whole artistic, let's say, statement. So yeah, I understand that. So it's not only for the shock value, let's say, but it's also to make a point. That's good. That's good, Kara.
And that part, we can tell what's gonna happen on a page and age 5. So basically, even kids know what is gonna happen. I'm not so sure about that though. I actually remember the first time I have seen the scene where Frodo was actually saved. I enjoyed this moment so much, and there was there's this music, and I had like goosebumps, and she comes, and she's like this mother figure, and she's like, and he's like opening eyes, and she's saving him. I did not see that coming. I thought he's gonna die, although I didn't read the book at that time. So all you're seeing, of course, Sauron, find some sex in your movies. Well, for here, I want to say, actually, using sex is a cheap shot, is a cop-out. It's like when the author has nothing shocking, he will be like, let's do a really, like, let's show people some boobies, and let's make it like so bizarre, so people like, oh my god, brother and sister. Like, I think it's a cheap shot. It's like actually Tolkien is way above in character development.
I agree. And his characters, they are very complex, and he allows, even though some people they think that it's very slow character development, I find it brilliant. The whole arc is like it in a way it moves beyond the what Joseph Campbell said, like the monomyth. It has a very nice structure, and not only for Frodo, but also for other characters. They are very complex, and when you get into the whole, let's say, background story, because if I am not mistaken, Lord of the Rings takes place in the third era of the whole mythos. There is a whole previous, let's say, eras that they took place, like
Hobbit.
Yeah, I also remember reading for the first time Tolkien's Silmarillion, and he has an amazing cosmogony there, where he makes his characters, let's say, to create the whole world by playing music. And the evil character, let's say, is the one that tunes in but plays some music that is in a way not so harmonic, and that's why the evil in the world spreads out, and out of that character eventually Sauron originated. So he also gives you like the background story of everything, Tolkien. So yeah, that's one of the things that we'll see that R.R. Martin is making a reference a bit later, but let's wait for that.
Tolkien responds: kings, queens, dragon, dwarves, horses, fortresses, magic, and swords. Your hobbit, my whole shit. You uninspired hack. You want war, George? Welcome to Shire Rock. In book sales, you have got nothing to say. I'm number 1 and 2. You are under 50 Shades of Grey. What do you think about that part?
Yeah, okay, I love that part. It's a very strong opening from Tolkien. So what he's going on, he's naming all the characters that Martin, as a fan, he actually took from him, and he names them like everything, like from kings, from queens, from dragons, from dwarves, and even swords. So he's calling him like, you uninspired hack, you took everything, every little bit out of me. So, and he has this line like, you won war, George, because he's giving these low patches, let's say, in his initial statement. And he goes on and delivers a pun, and he says, welcome to Shire Rock. So this is another pun that he's made with the Shire, of course. And we will see later on what he's going on about with this line. So let's not let's not spoil it from now, but it's a very powerful line. And the other thing he's delivering, continuing his argument, he says, like, in terms of book sales, you've got nothing to say. And Tolkien says, like, I am number 1 and 2, so and you are under 50 Shades of Grey. So he's delivering this very British, let's say, type of response. So,
yeah. 50 Shades of Grey. Yeah, I mean, that's ouch.
Yeah, and also I think he's making reference to what he was saying about the sex he mentioned before. So he's
shocking sex in 50 Shades of Grey is more shocking than the one in. I mean, to be honest, I actually would rather buy George R.R. Martin's work than 50 Shades of Grey. It's like
I know nothing about it, so I just know the cultural significance.
So like the ouch, because of the literally work, 50 Shades of Grey has like really low quality in a sense of writing, vocabulary, everything is very kind of it desires for a little bit more sophistication, let's say. Yeah, so that's why I kind of like, oh my god, for a writer to be below that, it's yeah.
So he's coming strong, Tolkien.
Yeah, this Shire Rock is like, why Shire Rock? I was like, what am I missing? Iraq or like what?
Yeah. It's actually making a reference to the Shire, his Shire.
Yeah, that's
also Iraq, and the reason why, because they're talking about war, and as we will see in the next response, it's very interesting because one of them, Tolkien, namely, he was like a veteran of the World War I, where he fought in the trenches and all of this. George Martin, he was a conscientious objector. So he got drafted for the Vietnam War, and he said, I don't want to go. So he served an alternative service. So this is why this punchline here. He's telling him, oh, you are talking about war. I actually went to the war. Like, this is what this line is all about. He's like foreshadowing what will come later on. So yeah, it's very, very nicely written by the epic rap battle crew.
Shout out, guys. And I will continue. You got the prose of a pro. You shit subbar. You are a pirate. You even stole my RR. Oh, we all know the world is full of chance and anarchy. So yes, it's true to lie for characters to die randomly. But newsflash, the genre is called fantasy. It's meant to be unrealistic, you myopic manatee. Oh, manatee. This is this is a nice animal.
Yeah. He's making fat jokes here, but okay.
Fat shaming. So what do you think about that part?
Yeah, so I really like that there is a line that says, I got the pros of a pro. Your things are subpar. I also really like that one. And when he's claiming that, when he's name calling him like, you're a pirate, you even stole my RR, I was like, okay, that's like a very good line because they both have in their names RR. I don't remember now exactly what it stands for, but they both have these RR. So he's even calling him out for that. Like I was before you, I am the old guy, and you came much later, so you even stole that. So yeah, and I really like the point that they are making here through Tolkien, let's say, and they're saying he's saying like a type of truth he's stating here. We all know that the world is full of chance and anarchy. So yes, it's true to life for characters to die randomly. So this is a response to Marty's tendency to kill off characters very quickly and harshly and randomly. But then he continues on and delivers the news flash, like that this type of genre is called fantasy. So it's meant to be unrealistic. So he's making this point, like you have to. You don't have to kill everyone. Leave some things as realistic as possible, because that's what the whole theme of this literary genre that we're into. So he's delivering a lecture here.
Okay. About teaching him how to write. I don't know, like I think like writers for some reason giving advice to another writer how to write should be like nice. So I felt uncomfortable with that statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't forget, it's an epic rap battle. So they are into this name shit. They're trying to give low punches, high punches, uppercuts. They are giving everything here. So
I'm a big fan of myopic manatee. Yeah, leave the characters to die randomly. Yeah, maybe there is this predictability thing. Although I actually think characters do die, and not all characters get killed. He did spare most of the Starks, actually. I mean, like actually, basically all the Starks kids, not all of them. Red Wedding, but all of them. Okay, most of the Stark kids, they actually came out pretty well at the end. I feel sorry for Targaryens.
Yeah. What team you were on? Team Stark or team?
I actually, I really like the Targaryens. Weirdly, I kind of was a big fan of Daenerys somehow. Like there was this scene at the end of the one of the earliest seasons when she liberated the slaves, and then she's like a rock star. She comes in and she lets people touch her. I kind of loved it. Actually, she was a perfect end to a lot of seasons, like the way they ended the first season, how she comes out strong from the fire. I was always on her side, and so doing her that dirty, how she loses her mind, was kind of painful for me to watch. Like I did not I did not actually like her romance with Jon Snow. I thought it was it was
not the best part, let's say. Yeah.
Somehow.
I was Team Stark from the beginning, and I really like I don't remember the name now, the father or the Stark. He was also the actor was
Ned
also
Stark.
Ned Stark, yes. He was also the same actor in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. He played Boromir in Lord of the Rings.
Boromir, yes. And he died in both. So I was rooting for Tim Stark because of him from the beginning. But I was always Daenerys had a soft spot in my heart always. I was rooting for her. So yeah, it was strange that Snow and Daenerys, the whole thing. But I don't want to get into the final season of.
It's so nice that actually the actor who played Jon Snow, he should have stayed with the wildling. Ygritte was her name. Like he actually married the actors who played Ygritte in the in the real world.
Okay.
And so the two of them got married. I was like, oh my god, there is some justice in reality.
That's good.
I did not like that Khal Drogo died as well. It was like I liked him a lot, the horseman.
I also love Tyrion.
I drink and no thanks, of course. His famous catchphrase. Tyrion was one of my most favorite characters. I kind of like, there is this idea, Jaime Lannister, did he redeem himself or not? And to me, he almost redeemed himself, but then he ruined everything at the end, where he's like, bye, big lady, I'm back to my sister. And then he leaves her the next morning. That was so bad. He was like, dude, you shouldn't have even tried to be like that. That one. But I think it's the death of Daenerys was not George R. Martin's choice. I think the guys who wrote the TV show did it somehow.
I think if it was up to him, he was gonna make, if I'm not mistaken, 13 seasons. So he had planned for a lot of that. So he's still writing. So now let's get back to the response of R.R. Martin. I conscientiously object to what you are doing on these beats. I'll cut you like my teeth on Beauty and the Beast. You went too deep, Professor Tweedpants. We don't need the backstory of every beep trim branch. So here what he's saying is like, this is a reference to the story I said before, that he didn't serve to the Vietnam War because he objected to it, and instead he served an alternative service away from the Vietnam. And the other line that the second line that he delivers here, he says, I'll cut you like my teeth on Beauty and the Beast. So what he's actually mentioning here is like, he's referring to how he started getting into writing and filmmaking, because George R.R. Martin, he was one of the writers on Beauty and the Beast. This is something that not a lot of people know or remember. Do you remember that? Series?
No, I did not know that. Thank you for letting me know. But I don't know.
It was like back in the late 80s, it was like a huge thing. It was like a series that a lot of people watched. So yeah, this is like a trivia that the guys from the people from epic rap battles, they utilize in order to deliver this second round of J.R.R. Martin. And then he goes on and he says, well, you went too deep, Professor. And he exclaims that we don't need the backstory of every tree branch. So this is a direct reference to Tolkien, like being very elaborative and like giving all the backstory of this and this and this. And once again, shout out to the Ents. Yeah.
I mean, right now, George actually writes a backstory literally, like
Mhm.
prequels is a backstory, but okay. You cut you like my teeth. Beauty and the Beast. Yeah, I did not know that. Actually, Beauty and the Beast originated from an old folk French fairy tale that also was a Russian folk fairy tale. One of my favorite. There is like actually like a lot of poetic work of Beauty and the Beast dated like 600. That's how old the story is. And it's nice to find out that George actually participated in script writing for it. Something. Yeah. I don't know. Here the insults are pretty shallow. I think like Tolkien is winning so far.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, but like those don't really hurt. Yeah. I cut my teeth in the trenches of the Somme. You LARPed your Santa Claus ass through Vietnam. Man, it's hard for me to take criticisms on clothes from a dude who sends a raven to say hi to his toes. What?
Okay.
I mean, I get most of it except the raven part.
Yeah. Okay. Do you remember in the fictional world of J.R.R. Martin in Game of Thrones, in Westeros, let's say, he uses these ravens to deliver messages, right?
Yeah.
So the line here is a very sly line. What he,
He implies that George R. Martin is so massive that he has to send the raven. Okay, now I get it.
you see, because
Tolkien is like winning here. That burned. Like,
I'm telling you, it's continue with the fat shaming. So yeah, your belly is so he even called him Santa Claus before. So
okay. I mean, Santa Claus. Okay, I thought it's because of the beard, but like, no. It's like, I did not even.
he cannot say hi to his toes. So yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, Tolkien is winning so far.
For sure.
Yeah. You LARPed your Santa Claus ass through Vietnam. That's an excellent line. Yeah. What do you think?
And the fact that it's Tolkien that supposedly delivers that line, that's amazing. He invented LARPing, if you ask me. So yeah. Martin says, man, your fat jokes are worse than your pipe smoke. My show's the hottest things on HBO. I am rock and roll. You are a nerdy little nebbish. And I may be dirty, but you've got a hairy foot fetish, dog. Even the names of your characters suck. You got buffers and buffers and brandy bags. I got a second breakfast for all them goofy folks. Lift up my gut and teabagging's my blood. So, okay. I'm gonna explain it a little bit. This is, once again, I think this is a type of not so strong response on the part of J.R.R. Martin, but at least he's opening up in a way where he takes the fat jokes and he utilizes them in his response. So at least he tries to do that. And but I didn't really like the line that your fat jokes are worse than your pipe smoke. So he just used this the fact that Tolkien was always smoking his pipe, let's say. So then he goes on to say that Game of Thrones is the hottest thing on HBO. Okay, fair enough. And that he's rock and roll, and that Tolkien is a nerdy little nerd, let's say. And this is one of those lines that, okay, where he goes that I may be dirty, but you got a hairy foot fetish. So he's making a reference to the hobbits, the main characters, let's say, of Tolkien, where they walk around barefoot and they have hairy foot. So that's how I understand it. And then he goes on about how even the names of Tolkien, they are not very inspiring, let's say. Which, to be honest, I object. I always thought that Tolkien put extra effort in creating characters and especially the names, and not only the background stories. And then he says about this line it's okay. I got a second breakfast for all of them goofy ones. And here is referencing to once again to hobbits that they are having the normal breakfast and then they take the second breakfast and then they have a lot of breakfast. So this is another way of as you said in the beginning, it's another way to showcase that deep inside, R.R. Martin is a fanboy for Tolkien.
Yeah. Like he knows the names.
Yeah, he
Bofors and Brandybugs, those are all Shire inhabitants, like the neighbors, and like he remembers them all. Oh my god. I think the hairy foot fetish is legit, like out of all of them, kind of, but it's still a compliment in the thing. And name dropping HBO. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. C.S. Lewis and I were just discussing how you and Jon Snow both know nothing, because the backstory of my box office is billions. You got my children making millions of my Silmarillions. And I'm more rock and roll than you have ever been. Don't believe me? Ask Led Zeppelin. You can't reach this fellow. Shit, I'm too towering. Oh, every time I battle, it's Return of the King. Okay.
I really like this. This is the final round, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to choose. Everyone gets to choose who won. But I really love this one for the concluding verse on behalf of Tolkien. First of all, shout out to C.S. Lewis and to the Inklings. The Inklings were the group, the literary group that these two have together in the previous century, along with others like Barfield and many others. Like, for example, the son of Tolkien was also part of this Inklings group. And he's the one that finished up the Silmarillion, if I am not mistaken. So, by the way, the Silmarillion was I've mentioned it before, it was the first book that provides the origin stories to the story of Bilbo Baggins and the story of Lord of the Rings, let's say. So this is like the origin story from the very beginning of the creation of that mythological fantasy world of Tolkien. So shout out to C.S. Lewis once again. By the way, he's the one that, for those that don't know, he's the one that also came up with Narnia, which is another nice, let's say, novel. And the second line I really liked, how you and Jon Snow both know nothing. So this is like a reference to of course, to the character of Jon Snow and his girlfriend. That
Yeah.
yes, she was always pointing to him that, and Jon Snow, you know nothing.
And he didn't. Like, yeah, she's seen it, like, you know nothing, Jon Snow. It's like she would not tell him what he doesn't know. She was just like commenting it. I like Jon Snow, everything. I don't want it. That's it, on everything. He just doesn't want it because he knows nothing.
I think that should probably was one of the favorite lines for the fans in the Game of Thrones series. You know, nothing, Jon Snow. It stood up. Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's still Tyrion Lannisters. I drink and know things. That's my most favorite line. It's like on t-shirts and everything.
Okay.
And with Jon Snow, it's a lot of memes.
Yeah.
With Jon Snow's face, knowing nothing and stuff like that. I actually still like from Jon Snow. There is like one of my favorite parts ever in the entire equalization of. So there is this battle at the wall, at the castle at the wall, and wildlings are entering, and among them is Ygritte as well. She's like coming, and they have this moment where she sees him, he sees her, and he's like, like he's so happy to see her, and then she gets killed. Spoiler alert. But like this moment, the way his eyes just actually showed, he was like genuinely happy to see her, even though she was on the side of the enemy. That will always like haunt me. This idea, imagine like enemies approaching and you see the enemy and it's just like, oh my god, that's my girlfriend. It's at the time of war, it's extremely powerful image. It breaks out of the frame somehow.
What I just wanted to add here is that, okay, no matter who won in this epic rap battle, both of them, they are great. And I've particularly enjoyed the series. Even I know that everyone is complaining about the last season of Game of Thrones. I've really enjoyed at least the first 7 seasons, let's say. So for me, both of them, they are brilliant. And okay, of course, George R. Martin got influenced by Tolkien. Tolkien is like, he's like a professor he was actually a professor. So a shout out to Tolkien being the real rock and roll one, because Led Zeppelin covered a lot of his themes, let's say, in their album. And I really found brilliant the 3 last lines, because when he say you can't reach this, when Tolkien says you can't reach this fellow, I am too towering. Every time a battle is Return of the King, he's actually making a reference to the trilogy.
Yeah.
Like Fellowship, that's why he said the Fellowship of the Ring is the you can reach this fellow. I'm too towering is the too towering, which is the second, and the Return of the King is the final one. So kudos to them for coming up with these lines. That's brilliant.
Well, Haris, thank you so much for finally bringing epic rap battles of histories to line by line. I love it, and shout out to you guys who write that. We had been sponsored by Free Time. Check out all the links below. Upcycle Club's YouTube channel, and for George R.R. Martin, if he watches my line by line.
Hello, George. And don't feel bad about all of these fat jokes. You are cool.
Yeah, I agree.